Shares of Nvidia sinking among the broader tech pullback here, sinking down 1.3%. The company announcing last week a $20 billion non-exclusive licensing agreement with chip-making startup Groq for Groq's inference technology. Joining me now to discuss what a deal like this means for the future of the AI race and the whole ecosystem is CNBC contributor Plexo Capital's Toney. It's great to have you, Lo. What do you think of the structure of this deal that Nvidia is doing? It's not an all-out acquisition, but it's not that dissimilar.
Yeah, it's interesting because some of these headlines frame the deal as a strategic acquisition, but really, to me, this is more clearly an architectural admission. You know, most people think that Nvidia bought Groq, but they didn't. They really captured a capability, and that's the architecture, specifically the LPU, without the regulatory friction of buying the whole firm. And they had to do that because of inference economics breaking the old math.
What does that mean? What are they actually getting?
Yeah, so when you think about NVIDIA, the GPU dominates training, but training is very episodic with big spikes. So inference is when people are actually using the models to execute chats with GPT, execute agentic workflows. And that is a different math because inference already costs 15x more than training over a model's lifetime. So that's really the math driving this deal. It's like the training attracts the attention, but the inference determines outcomes.
What do you make of what they're paying here? I mean, Groq was last valued at $6.9 billion in a September funding round. Nvidia has, according to our David Faber, $20 billion price tag on this deal.
You know, some could argue it's a drop in the bucket. Some could argue it's overpriced. I think when we look at NVIDIA and where they are right now, with the GPU, they were built for flexibility, but they ran into the problem, and they knew this problem was coming, that inference is now starting to dominate. And so it would have been tough to retrofit the GPU. So this deal does make sense. It is expensive, but they have the money.
Is it a defensive move to hold off competition here in Groq?
Yeah, I think look at it as, it is slightly defensive. They're not necessarily late, but they are reacting. And I think we should go back to a comment that your prior guest made about Google and the fact that it's vertically integrated. The core of that vertical integration is their TPU chip. Now, the founder of Groq, Jonathan Ross, actually built the original TPU, or what became the TPU, during his 20% time at Google, because he saw this bottleneck coming a decade ago. So NVIDIA is doing the same thing, right? They're integrating at the infrastructure layer, but under much tighter regulatory constraints. They can't buy everyone, so they're just licensing the capability.
Right. So all in all, I know you invest in early stage startups, so not necessarily a company like an Nvidia, but does it make you like Nvidia more or less?
The way I think about it is when we look at Nvidia and the stock in the run-up, I mean, that reflects the training boom. We've seen all of these models execute on their training strategies, and now they're starting to really focus on the ability for people to execute these models. So what this deal does is it protects Nvidia's stock for the future inference boom.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Earlier, we were talking to Jonathan Kanner, the former DOJ antitrust chief, and he was saying it actually raises some red flags, even though it's a, non-exclusive licensing deal or whatever they're calling it, if they're trying to take out competition and take out a key hire of a company that could be bigger if it wasn't doing this deal.
Yeah, and those are the things that are going to happen. We've seen Alphabet/Google execute one of these deals as well with Windsurf. I suspect that people will continue to push the envelope because of the regulatory nature of when these deals get scrutinized for being anti-competitive and monopolistic. We'll see. I think NVIDIA will be able to get this deal through, but I think when we start to see more firms, especially the Mag 7, try to execute these, it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to be able to continue with this type of approach.